Hey, Tammy Faye.
Hi. I forget his name. Hi, sweetie.
Jim Baker.
Jim Baker.
And,
hi. Oh, I guess I can call you Honey, though, anyways, right? Hi, Honey.
That works. Yeah, that works. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ideology. We are so honored to have our guest tonight, and we've got a very fun topic that we're going to talk about, one that I'm pretty sure a lot of you aren't very familiar with. So we'll dive into that in just a second. But first, let's say hello to Armoured Skeptic. Welcome.
Good evening.
Yes.
How you doing?
Excellent, man. Excellent. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So,
sure. I've seen the show a few times, but I never dreamed that I'd be on it.
Oh man, that's well. Welcome. Your dreams are come true. I'm glad that we were able to make that happen for you. Really glad.
Yes.
Ignore the crying.
We will start. Oh, that's okay. That's fine. We have crying that goes on the show all the time. Just actual. Sure, I've seen it a few times, but nothing's on. So let's start tonight with. There were 3 different news articles that I came across yesterday, and I figured they would be fun to talk about with Armoured Skeptic here because of his approach on things, and we're going to dive right into it. Let's put up that first one, Dave, and see what we've got here. This was a Denham Springs woman lights a couch on fire to get the devil out, officials say. And if you'll give me 1 second, I'm going to pull up this article. Basically, let's see. Give me 1 second. Thing's not coming up. Okay, here we go. So, okay. Sorry about that. My thing's having issues.
Get it together. We're professionals here.
Yeah, this
fully
is
professional.
This is crazy because now the article is not coming up, and I don't know why.
That's okay. We can make it up. Like, right? It's fine. We can make the story up. I mean, we have the headline. That's all we need.
Well, from what I read yesterday, it's going to a 404 error on my my thing. But anyway, this lady basically
maybe they deleted the article then.
Yeah, I think that might have been the case. But the article said that the neighbors saw flames coming out of the window, and the
couch was still in the house. She didn't take the couch out of the house.
No,
she lit the couch on fire while it was still inside of the house.
Right.
Well, why would you take it outside? That doesn't make any sense. She wanted the devil out of it so she could still use it.
Well, I mean, that's Denham Springs woman doesn't understand that Satan lives in fire.
Right.
That is a fair point. I didn't think about that.
That's a very good point. But the reason why she set the couch on fire is because it was comfortable when she first bought it, and then started giving her back trouble after a while. And that could only be the work of Satan himself, obviously. So, yeah.
Obviously.
She set it on fire.
Interesting.
At least she's rational, yeah.
True.
Sounds like a lovely woman.
All right. And our next story. Okay, so this guy is he's a well-known evangelical, and if you remember a couple weeks ago, the story of that guy that stole an airplane and crashed it in a little patch of land to kill himself, and before it came out who he was and that he was a white Christian guy, this evangelical set to Twitter and says it might be a good idea to keep Muslims from serving on ground crews. Not that all of them would pull a stunt like this, but we don't have any way of telling the difference between the ones who would and the ones who wouldn't. And it didn't turn out to be a Muslim at all.
You gotta love people like this. They just automatically make assumptions.
Yeah, but I mean, like, when it came out that he was a good Christian white guy, I mean, that's got to tank you. And can you imagine the backlash that he got for this?
He probably didn't. He probably just didn't say anything.
Where does he operate out of?
He is from, let me see. He is from Texas, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is Brian Fisher. He's a pastor, isn't he?
Yeah.
Did you start
Texas
out the
is
story
well
by
known
saying
for
that
its
I wasn't
rampant
fully
Muslim
listening?
problem.
That is true.
That's true. That's true.
That is very true.
I'm pretty sure the
Mexican,
Muslims caused
not
the hurricane down there too. So
that was that was actually the gays. That was actually the gays. There
right.
was
No, you were right. It was the gays. I forgot. Sorry. I'm not a history buff, so you'll have to excuse me.
or obviously a meteorologist
that went on to Jim Baker's show, and he made predictions. And back like 7 years ago, this sheik said that in 2016 there will be a great flood if America allows the marriage between homosexuals. So we're to blame for that, 100%.
Oh, you think that was a great flood? I don't know. God could have done better, I think.
I think so too. I think he's just retrofitting, I believe, if you ask me. Dave, go to our third and last story here. Mystery drug makes a good Christian man fornicate with a pony. Do we even really need to give? If cocaine is a hell of a drug, then how do you describe the mystery drug that causes a good Christian man to fornicate with a pony? Is the question on everyone's mind. Following the arrest of 29-year-old Tyler Schlosser. He was picked up on charges of bestiality and indecent exposure after being filmed having intercourse with a miniature pony. The incident occurred while he was on the clock at a local utility company and away from his wife.
Oh no, he was actually, that's his work uniform he's wearing. Oh no.
I think so, yes.
Oh no. I've gotten into some pretty crazy stuff at work, but this guy really took it to a next level.
Well, the funny thing is they talked to his grandfather, and his grandfather said it's the drugs, because when he's not on drugs, he is the best Christian boy, and these drugs just bring the devil out of him. So I've never, I've dabbled in drugs before, but I've never had one that made me want to go hump a pony.
So I have two things. Yeah, that's part of it. What drug makes you want to fuck a pony? Maybe shrooms. I'm not really sure. Some kind of psychedelic, certainly, right? Has to be.
It might have been, I don't know, it might have been some like ecstasy cut with something really terrible. Or, you know what? He might have just been sober and we're all just trusting the grandfather too much.
That's true. Here's my second thing. I hate it, and this happened at work this week too, when people are like, he's a good man, a Christian man, as if that makes you a good person, like automatically.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah,
there's a whole bunch of
dummy
Christians.
They asked him why he did this, and his excuse, or what he gave police, was that maybe someone spiked my drink. That was his.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's it.
That was his explanation. But this is an extra special kind of brony, I think.
Hey, if a roofie can make you go out and do an equine, that's a hell of a roofie. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
It's a true grassroots brony movement.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right, Dave, you can pull that down. So, you've done quite a few videos on tonight's topic, I've seen, and they're hilarious. You should definitely check them out if you haven't already, guys. Before we get into that, why don't you actually introduce yourself to everyone? I can't imagine there's somebody watching that hasn't seen you, but tell everybody who you are and what you do and why you do it.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gregory. I'm also known as the Armoured Skeptic on YouTube. I make neck-bearded, atheist, skeptic videos. I get into a bunch of other stuff, too. I do... lately, I've been mostly sticking with conspiracy theories like Flat Earth. And, my last two videos were about do you want me to introduce the subject?
Sure, yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, my last two videos were about this new phenomenon that I discovered called the Transvestigation. There's a conspiracy theory group that believes that either the vast majority of or the entirety of celebridom athletes, basically anybody that has any kind of notoriety, was born the opposite gender that they display now, and like every single one of them. And yeah, it's hard to believe that these are real people, but they're real people. I also like to I've got another channel where I do movie reviews and stuff with my girlfriend Shoe on Head, or my fiance. And people are gonna all comment fiance in the comment section now. But yeah, and I don't know. I'm not really that big a skeptic YouTuber or anything, but I have a lot of fun doing what I do.
What
I actually had
what
since we're
Go ahead.
here right now, I had a question from Twitter that was applicable to this. If I can just go ahead, or do you want me to wait?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Shadow, who I'm sure is in the chat right now, asked, what made you want to get into YouTube in the first place?
Oh, well, okay, so not a lot of people know this. I don't really talk about it because all of those videos are gone now. Originally, I considered myself a prospective like filmmaker. I thought I was going to make real films one day, and all throughout high school and college, I was always making these videos. And this is before YouTube was a thing. And then when YouTube came around, I kind of like stuck my nose up at it because I thought, oh, I'm going to be legitimate, and YouTube is that's for losers. And then one day I just decided, you know what? I'm sick of just uploading or burning all of my videos to these DVDs that nobody ever watches. So maybe I'll just start making some fun stuff on YouTube. And this was right around the time that I had just come out of religion. So there was a bunch of arguments that I was still trying to work out in my head. So I thought I'll create a character that's way more skeptical, way more atheistic than I am. And I'll have this character, kind of like a part of my persona, if you will, try to convince me that that I'm not crazy for being an atheist. And I ended up going through, I mean, most of the arguments that I ended up going through are arguments that other skeptic atheists have made before. I never considered myself a pioneer. It was originally just an exercise to try to, I don't know, work it out in my head, where I stand with atheism. And I consider myself an atheist. I call myself an atheist, but I use the term agnostic atheist because I'm still open to the concept of there being a God and something more than what we can perceive with our senses. I mean, we're not really that smart a species, but there's I think what I've done is the character was trying to put all of these arguments to bed in my own head. I was trying to just work it all out. So eventually, I don't know how, but somehow a YouTuber named Number One Son, he uses the Superman symbol. I haven't seen him make a video in a while. He shouted me out. He just mirrored one of my videos. And that was pretty incredible. And then the Living Dinosaur, who was like a legend to the atheist community at the time, he shared one of my videos in the same way. And I just blew up overnight. And so I guess from there, once I started growing an audience, I started evolving my content to be something that everybody can enjoy. So I was trying to cover more universal subjects. I was still working out a lot of these arguments in my head. I was still trying to convince myself to a certain degree, and but people just seemed to appreciate the work that I was doing. And I love my fans. I love how supportive they are of me. I've got I love the debates. People are always debating in my comment section about the subjects that I talk about, and yeah, even today, I'm kind of overwhelmed at how I ended up where I am now.
That's awesome. How did you come up with the actual armored character? Like, what made you decide to go with the helmet?
Okay, so It wasn't that clever, actually. I was a fan of Logic at the time, and I thought I could make a character like Logic did, but I'm going to do something different. I'm going to use my animation skills. So he's going to be like, he's going to be animated. He's going to have his own lore. He's going to be in his own universe, have other characters and stuff with him. And then, what was it? The Atheism Plus movement was just starting to wind down around this time, and I had just become disenchanted by the Atheism Plus community, and I ended up. I wanted to ape on the White Knight, and I wanted to make a Black Knight, so like a black tie knight, like the opposite of a White Knight, because that was White Knighting was just one of the hot topics at the time. Now that I think about it, it's extremely cringy that I did this at all. Then, so I wanted to call him the Black Tie Knight. So that's why I made the suit and everything. And then I ended up scouring the internet to make sure that nobody else had thought of that. And there was lots of other people that had. So I just literally whipped together the first two words I could think of. He's a skeptic that's armored. Okay, Armored Skeptic. And it had the added bonus of whoever subscribed to me, my name's going to be close to the top of the list of subscribers because the subscriber list is alphabetical. And again, really cringy that I did this, but if I had to do it again, I probably would create the character the same because I really like my character. I like what I've done with him. He's in need of a bit updating though. I mean, some of his animations are a little bit antiquated, but if I had to do it again, I'd probably name him something different. I don't know what, but I'd think of something more clever. Because again, I didn't know that I was going to get an audience. I wasn't making my videos for other people originally.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Armoured Skeptic just works. I mean, I think you did.
You know, it's just. I think it's just because everybody knows it so well now. It's just become kind of iconic, I guess. You know. So I guess you hear something enough times, your brain just stops telling you that it sounds dumb.
Right, like Fleek.
Like President Donald Trump. Like that just sounds like a real thing now to me.
Yeah, I agree. That I don't think we'll ever get used to. I can't get, we talked about this last night. I can't get used to the word Fleek. Like where did it come from and why is it here now? That's a thing. Have you heard that, KC? That's a thing.
I hate that.
Is that in a dictionary somewhere?
Fleek is an old thing. Fleek is not a new thing. Yes, so like when you say something is on fleek, like it means like it's on point.
Greg's on fleek.
Oh, that was GE. I don't know if you heard him say Greg's on fleek.
Hey,
Godless Engineer has to make
how's
an
it going,
appearance
Godless
in some
Engineer?
manner.
His hair is on
He
fleek,
said
I have
hi.
to say.
Hey, Greg, I love you.
Oh God.
I love you too, buddy.
So that's awesome. I know that actually, well, Casey, did you want to ask him your question or you want to wait till the end of it? Since we're in like kind of his journey across YouTube, did you want to bring that up now or do you want to wait towards
like
the end?
the whole SJW anti-SJW thing?
Yeah.
That's up to you. We can start with that if you want to.
Yes, go ahead.
So
Why?
okay. So the whole anti-SJW thing, I know you're kind of like in the middle of all of that. And the whole idea of centrism has become super dirty, right? It's a wordy dirty now, being a centrist. But it's interesting because I see all of the dumpster fire shit that goes on Twitter. And there's like really bad communication between the antis and the SJWs. Yeah. I know you agree with this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So do you consider yourself?
I wouldn't even use the word communication to describe what goes on between those two groups.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's really terrible. So do you consider yourself an anti-SJW?
I've never used that term to describe myself. And this is something that quite a few people in our camp have said. We don't use that term to describe ourselves. But when people say that we are, I don't correct them because it's a functional description. So I'm not like offended when somebody calls me an anti-SJW.
Yeah.
I'm originally, I wanted to do commentary on the Atheism Plus thing, and I didn't really end up doing much. And at the time, even though I was fully anonymous and everything at the time, nobody even knew what my face looked like back then. I was working for the government at the time. My local, I was working directly for the city council, actually, in Kingston, Ontario. And when you work for politicians, you can't have a political opinion. If you share it, you can get into a lot of trouble. So I decided just to lay off on that. And then right around the time that I ended up going full-time YouTuber, as it were, I felt like I needed to get a few things off my chest. And then that ended up just steamrolling into me basically joining that genre of YouTubers that were anti-SJW. Honestly, I think, believe it or not, Amazing Atheist was one of the first of us to ever mention these issues at all. I remember vividly his video on The View when they were laughing about a gentleman whose member was dismembered, and
right.
And so yeah, and then I guess there was a time. I guess it's kind of over now. There's still a few of them left, but there was this time where anti-SJW content was an entire genre of itself, and I guess it's, like I said, it still is, but there's not as many of them anymore. A lot of them kind of just disappeared, stopped making content for one reason or another, went off to do different things. And I guess I sort of did too. I went into making, more stuff about atheism, religion, conspiracy theories, just whatever floated my boat at the time. I still would make videos on social issues. I've actually, my next video coming up at the beginning of next month is going to be about a social issue. But yeah, I definitely was part of that camp. I still am part of that camp. I'm still friends with most of the people who make videos or made videos in that camp. And yeah, so I mean, you can call me an anti-SJW if you want.
So
just don't call me late for dinner.
So you kind of hit on where I was going with this. On Twitter, you wouldn't call it communication between the two camps, and because it's really bad. I mean, last night I was looking at it and I was trying to ask questions from some SJWs. 1, 2 who will actually be at MythCon with you in a few weeks, and they were bitching about a Blair White post or tweet from a year ago. So I wonder, given the breakdown of communication and how poor it is, what could SJWs do better as far as communicating with the antis? And then we're going to flip it and do what can the antis do better to communicate with the SJWs?
Well, I mean, I appreciate the question, but the question doesn't really function with the state of affairs right now, because like I said, I wouldn't even use the word communication to describe what they do. This is not a communication. What they do fundamentally, they do from out of bad faith. They both assume before they even open their mouth that the person that they're talking to or about just won't agree with them. And so I remember, it kind of reminds me about what I liked about the atheist community before I became a YouTuber. I mean, I still had an account and stuff, and I was big into commenting in comment sections and debating with people. And that was one of the things that I started to notice when the anti-SJW thing came up, is that neither side was willing to hear the other side out, and neither side was willing to even consider that the other side would even listen to them. And to a certain degree they were right. But if you don't speak to these people like they're human, if you don't speak to a person that you disagree with like they're a human that can have their mind changed, that is a reasonable person, it will never work. So sometimes you have to be the bigger person. And there's I mean, when it comes to the way we make videos, obviously there's a certain amount of outrage that we put in the video for entertainment purposes.
Right.
But the thing is that there actually are a good deal of people on both sides who actually aren't willing to be convinced that they're wrong. They don't want to hear that they're wrong. There's this clear agenda on both sides. It's all about having the right opinion, being part of the right camp, calling yourself the right thing. I mean, I've been saying this for years, but it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point where you can't even discuss these things on social media without getting this barrage of just people talking at you, trying to get you, these gotcha boys that are just trying to one up you, trying to twist your words to, basically paint you as a terrible person. They don't actually respond to your opinion. They don't debate you. They don't try to convince you're wrong. They don't discuss these things in good faith. So basically, what I've been trying to do for, I guess it's been over a year now, because it was VidCon last year that I made my first video talking about how we need to start laying out like a mutual discussion field. And I described it as I said I didn't want to call it a safe space, and everyone's like, "Oh, Armoured Skeptic said there's gonna be a safe space." I said I don't want to call it a safe space, but what it is like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, have you ever seen a debate before? There are rules in a debate. You can't just stand up at the podium and say that your opponent is limp-dicked and eats too much soy and has, belongs to the wrong camp. Those aren't arguments. You can't slander your opponent in a debate. So what I want is I wanted mostly to encourage more people on our side to. Well, yeah, I guess no. It was, I guess I was more, I wanted to convince people on the other side that we're not all crazy people and that we're willing to discuss things. And we ended up, June and I and a few of us ended up sitting down with a few social justice warriors, as it were, and started not coming to agreements about things, but at least learning to communicate with each other. And I got really excited about that. Yeah, trying just the very idea of having dialogue. And there was a few people that got into it. Formerly Nostalgia Chick Lindsay Ellis was ContraPoints, H-Bomber guy. And there was a few others that at least at first were trying to help this along. I don't know where these people are on this now, but I feel like that's what I ended up talking about in MythCon last year. Is just about how we need to open up the dialogue more. And I think that I genuinely believe that there's enough reasonable people on both sides that we can all come to not an agreement, but at least a compromise that we'll all be able to live with. Because I was hinting at this before, but there are people on both sides that just are not willing to hear you out. They're 100% ego. They're 100% following this agenda. They've got there's two very distinct agendas on both sides. They've both become cults, cult of opinion, cult of identity. And one of the things that actually bothered me about the right, the way that after the alt-right started becoming a popular thing, and identitarianism, and which really identitarianism is just neocon, just repainted, rebranded to make it sound like it's a more modern thing, but it's really just neoconism. A lot of these people you'll never be able to reach, because it's not about right or wrong for them. It's about control. It's about, getting the world they want, no matter what it takes. And so one of the things that bothered me about the right was that they were taking a lot of the arguments that we were making as anti-SJWs, the skeptics, the atheists, and other, commentary people. They were taking our arguments about how, our arguments that were trying to say that racism isn't as bad as the left says that it is. Sexism isn't as bad. Like, these things still exist, but it's not like this big grand conspiracy. This patriarchy is not this grand conspiracy to keep people under their thumb. That's not the way these social issues work. And identitarians and alt-right people were taking the same arguments that we were making, and they were using those arguments to defend being racist and defend being sexist and defend, again, their identity. And they ignored some of the things that we were arguing for that were really important, like individualism was one of the things that we were fighting for. One of the things that social justice kind of started was, well, not started, but basically reinvigorated, was people started, sectioning off into the different camps depending on the color of their skin, their sexual orientation, just whatever their identity ended up being. They ended up turning into like an army of people who would just talk at people, would villainize everybody, would paint everybody that's not the same identity as them as some sort of a evil oppressor that's complacent with some evil system. And we spent a lot of time trying to get people to be more rational and reasonable and see people as individuals and see racism as not every time, obviously there's going to be some systemic, to a certain degree, systemic issues, but most of the time when somebody is racist, you don't need to say this is white people's fault. No, this guy is just a racist. And so anyways, instead of following that same line of logic that we were using, they use those same arguments to then buy into the identity thing that the left had started. They too decided, oh, well, we'll section ourselves off into camps too. We're a camp now. And so our identity is important too, which, if we're going to play that game, if you play that game, it is valid to say that now white is an identity. So now white gets to defend itself. But it never should have gotten to that point. We never should have allowed it to get to that point. And I think a lot of us tried to not let it get to that point. And it's kind of just turned into a farce now.
That's a good point. Casey?
Yeah, I mean, I think from my observation, and I agree with, I don't necessarily land in the middle. I'm definitely left, but I don't agree with everything that the left says, and I certainly don't agree with the tactics. My biggest problem is the tactics, and I think that both the left and the right use the same tactics on each other and then bitch about the other one doing it. So it's really just a strange thing to me.
Well, often, and I'm really often the tactics are, sorry to interrupt you. I'll let you go back to it. But often the left invents the tactics and then the right adopts them. And even though they would at one point say, oh, that's an evil tactic, don't do that, they would then the next day use that same tactic. And when you say, hey, if you have any amount of credibility as a person, you have to stick to those principles that you've just laid out. And they said, well, if the left does it, then we can do it too. And that became a huge problem. So sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah. And you don't only see that in like social justice stuff online. You also see that in politics. You see that all over the place. And it's just like, if you're going to complain about it, don't do it. But once you do it, like once you do something, then it does give the other side basically the free pass to go do the same thing.
Once you do it, you're doing it. You're not above it if you're doing it. You are part of the problem. Yeah. You are not part of the solution at that point.
Right.
The right does it better at that.
Yeah. So at MythCon this year, you're going to be on a panel that's going to be talking essentially about the state of the atheist community, right? Like kind of, I don't know what it's transformed into because I'm not involved in the planning anymore, but you're going to be on a panel with Vadim Newquist is going to be on it.
We had a discussion about that. It's going to be Vadim, Jacqueline Glenn. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but a comedian. I'm David not entirely sure what. Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure what his position is. I need to do some research on him, but it's not going to be like a debate. I mean, we're all going to have varying opinions, and we're going to try to be
Right.
like make it a civil discussion. I think a
Yeah.
debate would be maybe too stressful for a couple of the people that are on the panel, but yeah, we are going to be basically discussing these kind of issues. We're going to be discussing basically the functionality of how the split happened, because if the audience doesn't know, there was just this giant split right down the middle of the atheist community.
Yeah.
But this has happened in every community. Like I said last year at MythCon, this even furries are arguing about this. This is every community is split down the middle. So so we're going to be talking about how that happened, what effect it had on us, and I'm sure I'm going to be hearing things for the first time from people like Vadim, because he's going to be representing, I guess, the other side. I don't want to put word to mouth, but essentially he's going to be more representing the more social justice side of the argument. It's more going to be, I guess, not so much trying to be right, but again, just coming to a mutual understanding of what happened. It's like a post-mortem, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you the same thing that I told. Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told Vadim about that. The important thing about going into a panel like this, because you're right, it's a discussion, not a debate. I think the important thing is that each person treats everybody as an individual and not to lay their sides opinions on that person. Because like, just because I'm a liberal doesn't mean I agree with everything that every liberal does. So, to represent each other for what they are. And if you don't know, ask, clarify that person's position before, you lay something else on them because you think that's what their position is. And I think it'll be a good panel. I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah,
I won't be there
I'm
this year, but I'll see it online.
I'm really excited about it. Oh no, that's unfortunate. I'm really excited about it. I haven't really had a proper discussion like this on video or in front of people. I've only ever had these discussions at like brunches and private gatherings and stuff. So it'd be good to get this stuff out into the public a little bit. Again, it would be good for us on the anti side to hear out, some of the things that that the left has gone through as well. At least specifically what Vadim has gone through, because I would say he's pretty typical. He's pretty typical of an atheist that was more on the left side of the argument. And I mean, I consider myself a liberal, at least what liberal means in Canada. And I have more trouble deciding where I land in the United States, because your political parties are vastly different, and they have such polarizing positions on things that it seems dysfunctional to the point where picking a side doesn't even make sense, because you're basically choosing the lesser of two evils both times. He wants to build a wall, but at least he doesn't want to start World War III with Russia. It's like, that wall probably won't get built. So I guess he's not the worst one. I don't know. So I never really know which candidate I want, because I kind of hate them both equally. And same thing happened with the last election. I hated them both. I didn't want either of them to get elected. And, people twisted that into meaning that I was supporting Trump. And I don't know how. I did make a video actually called Defending Trump. But my overall point in that video is that Trump can be defeated. You should be able to defeat him. Just stop lying about him, because when you lie about him, you justify the people who support them's hatred towards you, and you end up just strengthening their resolve in him. And a lot of people on the left, a lot of liberals, ended up becoming disgruntled by the Democratic Party, because they were sick of the way that the Democratic Party was lying, and they just got tired of being lied to. So they said, I'd rather let the world burn and elect Donald Trump than let this liar party who says they represent me that doesn't represent me into office again. And it's not right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's I mean, you toy with people's emotions when you use lies, when you use sensationalism to try to one up your opponent. You justify the hatred towards you from the other side, and you end up strengthening their resolve. You end up getting more people in the other camp, and you end up discouraging people from voting at all. And again, that was another thing that happened, is the voter turnout was terrible. And my pony in that race was Sanders. Everybody wanted freaking Bernie. Everybody that I knew, every single person that I knew wanted Bernie Sanders. Even some of my conservative friends wanted Bernie Sanders. Even though, I mean, I had to like talk them into it because he wanted some social programs, and they're like, "Oh, he's a socialist." Well, we're not a socialist nation in Canada, but we have socialist programs. One or two socialist programs does not a socialist nation make.
We already have social programs here too. So it's not, I think people are just afraid. It's a scary word. And I think that's more what they're afraid of. Yeah.
Right.
I voted for Bernie in the primaries, and I feel like that's when my vote counted, because I live in Alabama. So like voting for a Democrat here it's not going to do shit.
Oh,
You might as well throw your vote in the
garbage. And I mean, what ended up happening is there was a lot of suspicious stuff too leading up to the. I don't know. Are we supposed to talk about the election, or are we supposed to talk about something else? I'm going off on a rant here. But one of the things one of the things leading up to in the Democratic Party at least, was that the media wasn't covering Bernie. Even when Bernie was leading, they didn't even mention his name in the media, and that was like extremely suspicious. And then when Clinton got the nomination, and she was like, "I got the nomination," before they even announced it, before they even gave it to her, she was already up on stage congratulating herself for winning the nomination. And then it turns out that Bernie was never going to win anyways. They had made a backdoor deal that Clinton was going to win anyways. And if you say that you wanted Clinton to be president, even after you've learned that it wasn't a real election, it wasn't a real primary, that you had been played the entire time, then I don't know what I can do to convince you that the Democratic Party has done you wrong and that they don't deserve your support at that point.
I think the difficult part was it was Trump.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Like if it would have been anybody else, totally. Like I can totally see that. But I think with it being Trump, people had to kind of, again, the lesser two evils. Like, do you want somebody that can go in there and completely be like a bull in a china shop and just fuck everything up and undo, all of the process or the progress that we've done, or go with, the one is did all the shady shit with Bernie, the emails, all that other kind of thing. And it was an impossible situation. I think it was just a horrible. Both choices sucked. Absolutely.
Yeah, it wasn't impossible. It wasn't impossible for me. I voted for Hillary because I couldn't fathom how bad it would be with Donald Trump, but I knew it would be bad. And it's mostly the social issues. Like, I don't understand his bigotry. I don't understand. I mean, he doesn't make sense to me as a human being. And he's terrible. He's terrible. Maybe Hillary lied about some shit. Maybe they made some shady backdoor deal. But I'm sorry. It was not a difficult decision for me at all, because Donald Trump is who he is. And so that wasn't tough for me.
I fully get that. I mean, I was very careful not to explicitly endorse a candidate. Some other YouTubers did, and that's fine. But I feel as a Canadian, it's not my place. I mean, I can do some commentary on some of the shit that I'm seeing, but telling people who to vote for, that's not my place. But in private, I was telling my friends that are American who were asking my advice that they should probably vote for Hillary, even though she's not great. I don't know. Part of that is just because I'm such a big secularist, and I knew Trump would just come in and do all the religious freedom shit that Bush did. It would just be Bush 2.0, which it is. And I mean, we get the same terrible spin coming from the White House that we got during the Bush administration. Just constant lies, constant deception, propaganda, whatever. But the thing is that as obnoxious and terrible a person as he is, as offensive as he is as a human being. Unfortunately, I know that Americans don't like to admit this, but he's actually representative of the average American. When people from other countries think of Americans, they think of someone with a huge ego that's out of touch, that cares about themselves only and just wants money, just only wants money and power. And like, he is an exaggerated version of that. Obviously, I'm not saying that that's what all Americans are like to us, but he's like the superhero version version of that. The
super villain,
super villain. Yeah, sorry, super villain
of that.
Yeah, super villain version of that. But I mean, there were certain things, like I didn't think the wall would ever get built. I don't know. I still don't know that that's going to happen. I know they built some of it.
They just repaired shit that was already there. They didn't build anything new. Okay, so we've been going an hour. Do you want to get to the trans? Say the word for me.
Transvestigation.
Thank you.
So Dave on the screen real quick. These come from last night. The thing that we did about millennials. But I thought it was fitting for this. There are two articles that came out. This one is why are unscientific beliefs increasing among millennials? And the three reasons they give are that astrology is finding a growing audience. Superstitious thinking and grand conspiracies are also making kind of like a comeback in a wave. And then there's a lack of agency grasping at a need for stability. And I think what that kind of goes into is that since kids or younger adults are becoming less religious, they need something to replace that with, because there's that empty void and there's that lack of like a stable ideology in their life. So they're grasping onto these things, the astrology, superstition, conspiracy theories, that fills that void in their life. And in the journal, a scientific journal, Vox did a report. They go to that next picture. That's the same one.
Next.
It's the one about the flat Earth.
Yeah, so that would fit into the. Well, I guess flat Earth fits into both religious, superstitious belief as well as conspiracy theory. But
this article,
I fully agree. I've been noticing this too. Covering all of these subjects on my channel, for example, would be like playing a game of whack-a-mole. So I think the thing that I've decided to focus on recently is what I think is the worst of all the things, as well as the most entertaining to talk about, is the conspiracy theories. I love making fun of conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists. But as for the people being more thirsty for existential belief systems, that is definitely becoming more prevalent. I mean, people always say that atheism is the fastest growing religious position, but the thing is, all of them are growing. They always all grow because our planet keeps getting more people. Every year there's more people. So obviously each one is going to grow. But I mean, you see people like Jordan Peterson, where he started off talking about one specific issue and then ended up turning that into trying to convince an entirely new generation of people that there's more to life than what's scientific. And not that I think he makes good arguments for that, but he certainly has become very popular because of that. And so he's a good example of that. And I think that someone like Jordan Peterson couldn't have become famous 5 or 10 years ago because there wasn't room for someone like that. But people are getting thirsty for that. And it's one of those things that I always think about. I mean, like I said, I created the skeptic character to kind of ground me in reality a little bit. But like I can certainly see the appeal. It's very attractive, definitely.
And the other article was talking about the fact that they did a study, and of millennials, 66% believe with certainty that the Earth is round, meaning that 33% either can't say with confidence that the Earth is round, or believe the Earth is flat, and
Mhm.
33% is huge and way. I mean, that's insane numbers for people who can't say with confidence. The one thing that we can prove, like the one actual conspiracy that we, without a shadow of a doubt, can prove, is the shape of the Earth, and it's getting 33% of millennials. It's outrageous.
I actually said this in my last video. The average person can't prove that, we're not in a geocentric universe, because before we had our modern technology, that was a thing that people that would observe space, astrologists or astronomers rather, would argue about, because I think this was even in Cosmos, the observations that they came up with to describe the movement of the stars and the sun and the moon and stuff around the Earth could both be explained with a geocentric and a heliocentric model. So
That's
the average
true.
person, the average person doesn't have tools in their disposal to prove that we're not in a geocentric universe, let alone do we have the tools to prove as individuals that space even exists, that it's a thing that we can go to. So I don't want to use the word prey, but a lot of these conspiracy theorists, they end up preying on people's inability to understand these things, as well as they prey on just the ignorance that we all have, this trust that we all have that we're all being told the truth by, the powers that be. And when people become woke, that's a thing that happens in a lot of genres. It happens in the social sphere. People become woke, but it happens when it comes to religious belief, as well as the conspiracy theory thing. When everybody, I think, has this point in their life where they realize the universe isn't the way it was described to us when we were growing up. That what we see just does not. It's not exactly copacetic with what we learned in school and stuff. And, part of that is just because we all learned from out-of-date textbooks to begin with. But most people can't know these things. So because we can't know these things, it's easy to convince these people that they've not just been lied to about, the legitimacy of governments and the legitimacy of their whatever religion that they grew up in. But they say, well, maybe I've been lied to about everything. And then, so flat Earth is basically like the final boss of conspiracy theories, because that's a group of people who have decided that they're not going to trust anything that they're told. And because we're told the planet is Earth, the planet Earth is round. The planet is Earth. But because we've been told it's round, well, that can't be true either. So it's taking that idea just to the maximum.
That Earth is not the planet.
Kyle,
we're losing a
you're
Kyle.
breaking up.
I can't.
Hold on. What about now?
That's better, I think.
Yeah. What were you saying?
Okay. Storming here, sorry. I was saying that there is probably a group of people out there that would say that Earth is not the planet. So
that's true. That's true.
And the reason, let's get to the Transvestigation. I've got 2 videos that I want to go through, and then I'm sorry to do this to you, Armoured Skeptic, but we did it to ourselves as well. So it's not just you. We actually had a transvestigator transvestigate us. So we will actually go through those images that we got back from the Transvestigation people at the end. So stick around for that. You're going to want to see that. Good. Let's put the first video up, and this is a general. It's kind of like it's a crash course, I guess, really quickly. And we're not going to watch the whole video. I just want to kind of go through it. But Dave, this is the one with Rihanna on the front cover. And then the second video is going to be a special one for you guys out there. You're going to love it. So whenever you're ready, Dave.
Hello,
Thank
this
you,
is
Nettie
Nettie
No
No Johnson. I'm just going to show you a couple hours worth of work, but it was actually entertaining work.
Dave, let's
My
kind of
husband
skip
and
through
I,
this a
we
little
went
bit.
through the face
You're just doing
what this app
Yeah.
says he would look like as a woman. And you'll notice actually a few times that these apps are meant to actually tranify you and not just change your gender, but instead of like giving you smaller eyes because you're a man, it gives you bigger eyes because
Now,
you're a
still pretty.
woman. It's trying to make you a
Yeah, I
tranny
agree.
woman, so it gives you bigger eyes, and when it's trying to make you manlier, it actually makes you look more womanly.
Okay, Dave, I've got an idea.
So anyway,
let's put them
Okay.
on double speed.
That's so dumb. I just got to comment on that. That's so dumb. Obviously, it's tranifying you because you're not the gender that it's turning you into. And if they did change too much, it wouldn't look like you. It would just be like, oh, here's like a wildly photoshopped picture of me. So like
Right.
you still have to keep like your overall features, like the size of your nose can't be changed too much, your brow ridge, your jawline and stuff like. And on top of that, it's an app. It's not like, this isn't science. This isn't like
Right.
established or anything. This is just for fun. It's just like, what would
Shut
I
up,
look like?
It's an app on the phone. It's fucking science. You don't know.
But obviously, you're not
I
going
did
to be like,
scientific work.
They're just taking away his
obviously,
wrinkles.
like it can't show you what you would actually be like if you were born with the opposite chromosome mix. Like it can't know that. It's just going to put makeup on you.
She's convinced herself, though, that this app was actually a kind of a secret technology so that people in higher up positions can discern things and go. It's bizarre, but we're gonna double speed this real quick just so that you can see some of the people that she is transvestigating. And Dave, you can go ahead and play it. I'm gonna talk over it a little bit.
But not all of them go with the programming. So anyway, here's Brad Pitt. What a pretty girl Brad Pitt makes.
Right.
I don't
Brad
know
Pitt
who
does make
this
pretty
is.
girl.
Looks like one of those superhero dudes.
Oh
Those
damn.
fake
Here's the
superhero
next
women
one.
dudes. Look. They both look like trannies.
He makes a hot woman.
But anyway, it gives you an
He
idea.
does.
It's
But
interesting.
the thing
It
is,
gives you an idea of what they really look like.
this just pisses me off so much.
Without
Like,
all
it does
of the
not give you an
everything.
idea of what it really looks like. This is
I
so
don't
dumb.
remember this one's name. I should. It's Frodo, right? It's,
I don't know
I don't
about that
remember
one.
his
I
name. Ratcliffe? Daniel Radcliffe. That's right.
I don't think I would
It
drop
was like
that one in my
interesting.
Woodstock pile.
No,
What they say
I
makes
don't
you
want
look like a
this.
woman. To see what they look
No.
like.
Are we?
When they-
If we're playing
when
Smash or
an app
Pass, that's a
exposes them
pass.
and tries to
Or
make
no,
them
that's
Oh,
that's a pass.
look more womanly.
This
Smash.
one's a
But
pass.
see, like, this is a good one where
Oh, we're
it just made him
smashing
look
her
like a
pass.
female tranny instead of a male tranny.
You on Jake
But I mean, you
Gyllenhaal?
can see
Really?
it, right? Like, if he just wore makeup and wore his
Huh?
hair long and got rid of the beard, he'd look like a girl.
On Jake, you would
No, I
pass
would
on Jake?
pass him well, not as a woman.
I have never found Johnny Depp attractive.
I'd
most
pass
of
on
the
this either
Hollywood
way.
stars never found him attractive. I mean, you just,
Johnny
you know,
Johnny
there's
Depp
really
looks
out there
exactly the
myself.
same. This is amazing. They just made his hair a little longer. like
Orlando Bloom
like
is one
how is this
I
even
had
worth
listed over
commenting
previously.
on?
And now every time I see
She,
him in that
she
blonde
said
wig,
that
I'm like,
she said that
gross.
video was taken down by
Nice to meet you,
YouTube
Johnny.
for
That's a
spreading the
pretty girl.
truth. Like this is the third time she's uploaded this video.
It's just interesting, right?
Oh,
But
well,
anyway,
this one's all
What
right.
they're hiding from you, truth in plain
Yeah.
sight. Pop any celebrity.
That's actually not bad.
Pop any celebrity's face into these
This
apps,
is really bad. This one's bad.
and you'll see.
that's bad. All right, Dave, we're gonna stop that one there.
Swayze already admitted that he was a transvestite in,
Oh,
in,
did he really?
in Tu Wong Fu.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, Tu Wong Fu to Julie Newmar with love.
That's true. So the next one, the next video we're gonna look at, you basically guys get the idea of this. I don't know if you call it a movement. I don't even know if this is like a prominent thing. I know there are a couple of them on YouTube, but I don't know how, like, if this is catching. Greg, do you know? Is this a thing that's catching on?
Well, it started. I don't know exactly when the inception was. I know that people have been saying this about Michelle Obama for the better part of a decade at least. And I mean, Michelle Obama is like, she's definitely bigger than Barack, but I mean, that's just what he's into. I mean,
But she's still like her. I mean, she's a strong woman, but she still has womanly features. I mean, I think that's absurd.
Oh no, she's still
I watched
she's still very effeminate. Yes.
Yeah, I watched your video on it, and I saw the Joan Rivers thing. I actually had forgotten that happened.
But as for like this greater transvestigation, this idea that it's a prevalent thing that's been going on for a long time, and that there's several secret trans people in politics and in Hollywood and in the music industry and stuff, that's been going on for about a year, a little bit more than a year. If you go through if you just write transvestigation in a YouTube search and just scroll down by time, people have been uploading videos about this almost every day for about a year now.
Are you serious?
It's a pretty decent sized community. I would say that there's at least 50,000 people that believe it, at least on YouTube. But as for how big the community of creators is, I'd say the overall community is not really that large. It's only about 5,000 to 10,000 people, I would say, that are actually part of this like ongoing community, this ongoing transvestigation.
That's 900.
I do have to tell you though.
It's 999 more people involved would be in the movement. Check it out. Shut up, Siri. I've got Siri trying to do this. But when I first learned of this, and I heard that there's a group of people that are making these videos going through the different features on Hollywood stars. My number one question, maybe you can answer it, is why? What is the reason that these movie stars are becoming a different sex altogether, and who is orchestrating the entire? Well played.
So who's orchestrating this? Obviously, are the architects of the New World Order. That's yes. Who's doing this, and the reason they're doing it is they're trying to trick men into being attracted to other men. They're trying to skew our idea of what attractive means. They're trying to skew our idea of what gender is, and they're trying to basically convince the entire planet to start adopting transgenderism into their own persona.
But
they're trying
to what end?
Well, you're gonna have to ask Satan because he's the one that really knows. But their
I know someone who knows Satan. I'll get on that.
The idea is that by doing this, they're screwing up God's plan, and that's not what they all believe. But this seems to be the general idea that most of these transvestigators end up following. This has been the fact, though, that they believe people like who is it? What was his name? Dustin Hoffman. Like Dustin Hoffman was born in the 30s or the 40s. It was like a long time ago. They didn't have the technology back then, and so basically this conspiracy requires us to all believe that they've had better transitioning technology and medical technology, that they had better stuff back in the 30s than they do now. And that's really a huge stretch for me.
Bizarre.
Yeah,
and they're not coming out as trans. Like, these stars are not saying I was born a man or I was born a woman, now I'm the opposite. So if it's a push to try to spread that and make it more okay, why are they just shutting up about it and making movies and not even mentioning the fact that they were?
That's the biggest speed bump in this whole thing is, if they wanted to do this, why are they all secretly trans? Because that undermines the entire idea.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
you know why, Kyle? God knows. That's why.
Oh, that's
God
true.
knows.
Oh, that is true.
So it's a God's plan thing. Basically, most of these people, like most conspiracy theories, are perpetuated by extremely religious people, and like the born again types, the ones that even hate religion, like Catholicism and all of that. Everything is designed to screw up God's plan. Everything's a deception to them. there are Muslims and stuff in the conspiracy genre, but with YouTube kind of being like a Western centric platform, most of the people that you'd be exposed to in the conspiracy theory community are going to be Christian or lean towards Christian. So yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of biblical prophecy stuff they talk about, and it just doesn't make sense.
That's a good point.
Oh no, pass.
Pass.
Dave. Oh man, look at that. So everybody knows we have a gentleman that's very, very. He's the greatest villain that's ever appeared on this show before. We get more comments about him than anyone else. And just a side note, if you guys wanted a part 2 of Aaron and Kent Hovind, I believe it's going to happen. I talked to Kent this past weekend. He's thinking some things over, and but at least he's talking about it now, which is different from before. We're going to have to make a couple of concessions, which is I'm fine with, but I'm supposed to know here in a couple of days whether or not he's going to accept that and come and do part 2 of Aaron and Kent Hovind. So I will let you guys know as soon as that happens, but we are hoping that that is going to be the case. But even Kent Hovind is not safe from the Transvestigation movement, because this is nothing that, this is nothing that we did. Okay, the same person that did this video also did a video on Kent Hovind and claims that Kent Hovind, she starts off by praising him a little bit and then goes into, but I can't thank him for, you know, my grace or whatever, because I have learned that he is one of these two. So Dave, let's go ahead and look at Kent Hovind and his Transvestigation.
Hi, this is
Nadino Johnson. And God, please bless the words that I say, because I know a lot of people love Kent Hovind. And I used to adore Kent Hovind. It never occurred to me that he might be an undercover transgender person. And I'm not trying to harass or bully or make any hate speech. I'm just telling the truth about you, dude. Because you're not a dude. You're a woman. This is somebody who
I feel
has
like this
abused
would be news.
testosterone for quite a while. This is a person who does not believe in a flat earth.
She goes
This
through
is
his
a person
like
that my husband used to get me to believe.
Okay, this is really long, Kyle. Where should
I don't
we
know
go
what the whole
with this?
thing. Just
That the Bible
just
is
you can put it anywhere actually, Dave. Just
the truth.
mouse about 3
Who
minutes
does not believe
ahead.
in a flat earth. Actually, but look at the hair. There's no children woman.
Stop right
Children
there.
woman looks like
Watch her.
close together
That,
eyes.
That's good.
The nose looks like it starts up here, which makes you think it's manly. This is the older he gets, the more he falls apart. He has sloping shoulders. That's why he wears the suits all the time. He has a short neck. That's why he wears the collar and the suits and all that. He
wears a
madness,
collar.
definitely eat the meat and spit out the bones person. That is Kent Hovind. Look at this woman picture of him. Look how feminine and soft. That's Kent Hovind as he gets older. More feminine, more soft. And his eyebrow ridge is disappearing as he gets older, because the secondary sex characteristics are coming out. Look, see? The eyeline.
Probably had fucking Botox.
This is a woman's ear placement. Look at the teeth. They look like they're curving upwards back there.
Did you just say
But
ear
what I will
I can just
say
see the
is
slope in
that
your shoulders.
clearly
Pause it,
prison
Dave.
did not harden this man.
He made
I mean,
me realize that
that's
evolution
clear.
was completely false and disgusting.
Dave, you can go ahead and pause it. Okay, that is true. Prison did nothing for Kit Hovind, but she goes through for the length of this video and almost pulls up every picture she can find on just Google image search. Now, she's not doing anything like you said earlier, scientific at all. What she's doing is just looking at pictures and hovering her mouse over top of the picture and trying to point out what about that doesn't look manly. And half the time, like, there's no love lost between me and Kent Hovind or whatever, but there's no way that was ever a woman. I mean, that's just not the That's not possible.
I DM'd the NonSequitur show Twitter a couple of FaceApp pictures of me that we gender swapped, and I gotta say that I make a pretty hot woman. I am almost as attractive as Gal Gadot, I gotta say. So it's like second most attractive woman ever, basically.
I'll send those to Dave so we can see. But actually, we'll add those on to the list that we've already got going on, because we actually have some of your transvestigated pictures already on the queue.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I haven't seen these. I didn't know these were real.
Let me download these real quick. Dave, if you want to pull up the standard picture of Armored Skeptic so that we can all see that. Okay, so we contacted a transvestigator and had them run you and see if you had anything that you were either hiding or to that. And this is actually the photo that we got back from the Transvestigation.
That's the one. Yes.
So you're muted.
You know what? Now I see it. You know what? Maybe I've been lied to this whole time. I've never even considered that.
All right, Dave, yeah. I just sent you the ones that he sent me. We'll just add those to the end. So we decided that we would do
like the pink bow tie. I like that pink bow tie.
Thank you. I figured I'd add that as a nice little touch. My favorite part is the eyeshadow above you. I mean, it just goes with the hue of your helmet.
Yeah, it's classy. It's subtle, so I don't look like a whore or anything. So that's nice.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, we stayed away from red lipstick so you wouldn't, get into the whorish realm.
Yeah. Pink. But we decided we would do some friends of the show that aren't here. Some of the people that you see on here all the time, and we'll start out with KC's man, and not bad.
God, listen here.
Smash.
Not too bad, right?
Definitely an improvement. Yes.
Hey, Greg said that your FaceApp, your Transvestigation was an improvement, honey.
Oh yeah.
When GE first saw it, he said he would smash her too. So.
Well, I mean, people are naturally attracted to people that have similar facial structure as them. So a gender swap of yourself is going to be the most attractive person on the planet. That's exactly. I mean, everybody just wants to have sex with themselves. To be honest.
You say that now. You say that now.
You say that now.
If you clone yourself and then you have sex with yourself, are you gay or are you masturbating?
Masturbating.
If it's a clone, yeah. Yeah, if it's a clone, it's masturbation. If it's a twin, that's incest.
That wasn't even part of the question. Where's your mind at, man?
That's excellent. That was excellent. Okay, so we're gonna. He's right though, because I have to say I've seen mine already, and not bad.
Throw it up there.
We're going to get to KC in a minute. We'll talk about Rod Rocker in just a second. But let's go to next. Who do we have next, Dave? Oh, it's Shoe on Head.
Yeah. This is one of the first ones that she and I did. She makes an extremely meek, tiny beta male. So I mean, definitely a huge.
Her bangs, I can't tell you how many of these I had to do because her bangs, though they are lovely on her, fuck up this app like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's one of the. I mean, the app has improved a lot. The latest version is a lot better. But yeah, that was one of the biggest problems I was running into is as well is you got to pick pictures that have less hair. If any amount of hair is in the face at all, the app doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
You mentioned Atheism Plus earlier, and I'm gonna let KC tell you who she thought Shoe on Head looks like in this next picture. But
yeah.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
June, I'm sorry. June, June's in the comments, and I know this, and I'm sorry, but you kind of look like Steve Shives. I love you. She does. She does look a little bit like Steve Shives here.
And we apologize, but now all of you that are listening are blocked by Steve Shives by default, just because we brought him up. You're now all blocked, so we apologize.
Well, I'm actually pretty sure that the way his block bot works is even if you follow someone like me, if you follow me on Twitter, you're going to get blocked by him. It's that prevalent a problem. Even PewDiePie was blocked by him, and PewDiePie had no idea who he was.
That's funny.
That's sad. All right, Dave, who do we have next? Oh, Steve. I was doing partners, but Steve came out looking like a Barbie doll that had a rough Saturday night, I think. So yeah, there you go, Steve. And then we'll switch to I believe Case. Oh, there's Dave. No. Producer Dave.
Dave.
Really just took the age off of Dave, I think. That's really all that he did.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, I mean, the problem is it, like we were saying, it doesn't know what to do with the hair. So that extremely long, disheveled beard it just looks like a.
I said I look like a
13-year-old trying to grow a beard now. He just looks like a 13-year-old.
I said I look like a bald Ewok, is what I said.
Or like one of the wizards with the just the mustache and the really the hair that's super flowy, the beard hair,
Gandalf?
Like Gandalf? Yes, like Gandalf. Yeah.
Well, I think Casey, you're next, and
I can't.
You look like oh my god,
Rob Reiner.
Oh my god.
So
Rob Reiner.
You look exactly like freaking Rob Reiner.
That's exactly what Kyle said. Every single picture that I used, and I'm going to tell you, I tried it on like 20 of my own pictures with this. It made me old. Everybody else it makes young. It makes me an old man every fucking time. Every time.
Look at the next one's even funnier.
Getting nagged by the FaceApp.
Look at this one.
Yeah, look.
What the fuck is
even
this?
older. I love that it has no idea how old you are.
It's not even fair.
I don't know if you noticed, but at least one of the ones, I think both of them know that you showed of Shoe on Head, that it did the same thing. It put white in her beard.
It did put a little bit of white in her beard, but it's still, she didn't look old. Like, I don't know, man. Look how
an intense Vietnam War story right now, Casey.
I don't know. I was really upset. I tried to find one. I even used a picture from when I dyed my hair dark brown to see if maybe it was because my hair was blonde that it was making me gray and old. And that did the same thing. Ridiculous.
Well, let's switch over to me now. We'll take a look at how I turned out. I must say, not bad.
Yeah, it's all right.
Smash or pass?
Pass, but very politely.
Oh.
I'd pass on this one, but I will smash the next one because I've already seen the next one.
Oh, that's actually really good. That actually, you look like you. I don't know about modeling, but maybe like an unsyndicated television show. You could be like the star of like a B-rated or C-rated television show. I think.
If I'm offended or that was a compliment. Unsyndicated. I'll take it though. I'll take it.
You look kind of like Mandy Moore. You know who Mandy Moore is, right?
Yeah. A Walk to Remember.
You look kind of like Mandy Moore. Yeah.
Sort of, I guess. Yeah. You look like maybe one of her cousins or something.
The not quite as attractive, but still decent cousin.
Right. Well, the ones that weren't good enough to be celebrities, right?
I must say, Greg, the ones that you sent me through Twitter, are fabulous. However, when we ran this picture,
what the fuck is that? Oh my! Throw that in the fire. Yeah, let's rid the world of this. That was the thumbnail from the David when you were on David Rubin. Oh yeah,
That's
no,
the-
I recognize the picture.
Yeah, that's the. But yeah, the next ones we're going to see, guys, are actually they're good. Go to you can go to the next one, Dave. You look like Robert De Niro in that bottom left one, kind of.
I'm gonna age well. I'm convinced I'll age well. I don't know how much of my hair I'll keep. I've been very lucky. My hairline has barely moved, but
I
think...
clearly don't age well, as we've seen.
You age like Rob Reiner. That's
right.
difficult to comprehend. Very difficult to comprehend. Does G know? Did you show him?
Yeah. Honey, did I show you the pictures of me as a man? Me.
Yes.
Yes. He's still fine with it, I guess.
Are
you fine with it? Are you fine with me looking like an old man?
GE is a huge Rob Reiner.
No.
So, no.
He said no.
That's all. Casey, ask him if he's going to play us out tonight like he did last week on the ukulele.
Are you going to play us out tonight?
Yeah, he will.
Do you
go to the next
on
one.
the
uke? Do you have that Satan
think
one?
of a song while you're sitting.
Yeah, there it is. This one's my favorite.
Really good.
Oh,
Smash.
That one's.
I would absolutely smash this. Yes.
So, what app did you use for this one?
This woman actually, I have a cousin who looks exactly like a female version of me, and every time we do one of these, everyone says that it looks exactly like my cousin. She's kind of like my female clone.
What I'm hearing is that you would fuck your cousin because that's
no. End of discussion. Play us out. Thanks for having me, guys. See you later.
Well, we're gonna see if anybody has any questions. Casey, have you been following the live chat? I have not been looking at the live chat.
No, but I will look. I do have some notifications, so we'll see.
Okay. And do we have any super chats that we need to read?
Yes.
Oh, there's a ton of super chats. Yeah.
Okay.
So Sleek the Geek asked, "How many hot dogs can you fit in your mouth?" I'm assuming at once. Have you ever tested this?
Do you mean with the bun? With the bun,
I don't. Just with and without. Let's do with and without, like just to be.
I think
cover all our bases.
I think with the bun, I'd say 1 3/4 of a hot dog. I'll have just like a little bit of hot dog sticking out of my mouth.
That is very precise.
That is very
Without
precise.
the bun.
Well, I've been thinking about this for a very long time. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, and without the bun.
Oh, 4.5.
4. You can't be a porn star with that kind of. You can't be a porn star with that kind of. It's not going to work.
Well, at least not a gay porn star. Yeah.
Truth.
That's the only one that counts.
Well, yeah, that's true.
All right, go ahead, Casey.
Well, there were a couple other questions, but they're kind of silly. Sleek the Geek wants you to know he likes you and June. So that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Geek.
We'll have Dave read the super chats.
All right.
Oh,
go ahead, Casey.
Go ahead. I have one more for after.
Okay. 0132132 for $6.66. Thank you, Zero. Are there any Transvestigation vids about Greg or June yet? I think we just made one.
There is one of June, but I'm not going to share that because she's going to be surprising with us with that later. She's going to react to that. Oh, as for me, I'm trying really hard to get their attention. So hopefully they'll do one of me. That'd be really fun. But it'd be hard for them to do because my wrist goes to my PP and I have broad shoulders, so I don't know how they're going to make that case.
After watching your video today, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to walk and see people and not like look at their wrist to PP ratio.
Scientific term, wrist to PP ratio.
Yeah.
That's The wrist thing, though, that's gaining traction too, because now there's the wrist cells. I learned about this the other day. They have a whole entire form and everything. Guys that have themselves that they cannot get laid because of the girth of their wrists, and they call themselves.
But they're thick cells, not wrist cells. Those are the thick cells.
The one that I was on, they call themselves wrist cells. On that like, yeah. And so,
anyway, sorry, Dave.
That's all right.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Godless Engineer for $5. Thank you, Godless Engineer. Says, Dear Greg, why did you stop doing atheist-related content?
I guess I just make videos about what I'm interested in at the time. I'm definitely going to be making atheist videos again. Technically, my next video coming up has atheism in, I don't know. I'm sure I'll make more later, but I kind of just I do what I'm passionate about, what I'm interested in, because I feel like I can't make a good video if I'm not like genuinely interested in the subject that I'm talking about.
I can respect that.
Did you hear him?
How could we not hear him? Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Thank you, Godless Engineer. Brian Stevens for $2. Let the World Burn, Joker 2008. We said we'd read them live, and we'll read them live.
Thank you.
Shadow for $5. Skeptic, do you think this polarized political climate can ever be resolved?
No, because functionally, by design, it only serves to make the divide greater. I think you'll find that more and more of us in the end will, realize that that both sides are talking to each other, talking at each other, and more people will kind of come to our little table in the middle here and actually have genuine discussions about it, the reasonable people. But as for the meta game, whatever, it can't, it can't. It's only going to get worse, honestly.
Okay. Austin for $5. I'm just here for Daddy Armored.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Nice.
Azure Rogue for $15. Love you, Skeptic.
Wow, you spent a lot of money to say that. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Love you too, buddy.
3 words. You could have got away with $2. Again, Austin for $5. I mean, Greg's armored Sona was never confirmed to be a man. Also, 10 out of 10 would smash Armorina. Okay.
That's true. Our Armored Skeptic has never said that he's a man explicitly. That's, following the lore pretty strictly there.
Well, next time I watch your video, I'm going to check the wrist to PP ratio. So if it's not right, then we'll know.
Well, his arm is his hand is in his pocket, so but his elbow is bent, so I think it gets pretty close to his PP.
Well, listen, if you need that bow tie, you just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to let you borrow it.
Okay, good.
Shoe on Head for $5. Skeptic is a cutie.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Sweet.
Azure Rogue
June is genuinely my biggest fan. Genuinely is.
Yeah. Azure Rogue for an additional $5 says, Shu, you are correct.
About everything, I guess.
They don't respond to,
Thank you. I love the confirmation here.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Theomaki for $2. Tips Fiora. I'm not sure what that means, but anyway.
Fedora.
No.
Fedora.
Fiora. He says Fiora.
Oh, no idea.
I think he means Fedora, but
Yeah.
Well, shout out to a fellow neckbeard. Thank you.
Austin again for $5. Armored Incest.
That's gonna be a thing now.
It's gonna trend. Armored incest hashtag. And then Jeremy Sislow for $4.99. I thought thick cells were those cottage cheese looking spots on my ass.
Perhaps.
That's funny. Thank you, Jamie. That's hilarious.
And then great. I had another question. Shadow wanted to know, did Mini Skeptic divorce his wife after the affair? Yeah, so what happened? What's going on with Luke and Sheila?
Oh yeah. No, I'll flesh that out a little bit. The implied affair didn't follow through. As far as the story is concerned, there's no proof that the affair actually happened, just that it was this close to happening. Yeah, no, I'm gonna flesh that out. I'm gonna flesh that out some more. I've got some really funny ideas for the lore.
Okay,
that's excellent.
And I think that's all I have.
Okay, cool. Well, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on and go through all of those important topics. I know we transitioned from the state of our countries into whatever transvestigations are.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. This has been a big pleasure and an honor being on your little show. I don't watch them all, but I think the last one that I saw, you were talking about Jeranism or talking to Jeranism. I really liked that episode.
Oh yeah, Jeranism has a long-standing feud with us because, especially me, because I was in a Skype conversation with him, setting up a debate. He's been on here 4 times, I think, total, all in all. And we were having a very pleasant conversation, nothing outrageous. And he asked me about the Tesla car that's up in space, rotating around the Earth. And he said, "Look at this picture. Doesn't it look fake?" And I said, "Yeah, that does look fake." Even, what's his face? Elon Musk says, It looks fake, so it must be so bad. So then he asked me about the moon landing, and I sarcastically said, "Of course we didn't go to the moon. Everyone knows that. It was a space race between the U.S. and they needed to look like they won." Well, then when he came to the debate a week later, and I made a comment about how that's almost as ridiculous as us not believing we went to the moon. The next day, he released a 2-hour video claiming that I'm a liar. I secretly believe they went to the moon, and
I saw his video on it. I mean, I can understand the confusion, honestly, because I mean, he shows the email or whatever your correspondence was, which is pretty shady, honestly. Now I know to never send him a direct message or a private message because he will share it. But I can see why he thought, like, I've said that too. That if you look at the moon landing critically, the United States had every reason to lie. So it's not the craziest conspiracy theory to believe in, but then to say that that you think it's possible, or to hint that you think it's possible is still, like, it's very different from saying that is what your actual belief is. That's your functioning paradigm that you operate under. Right. That's a distinctly different statement, because coming from him, he believes space is fake, so the moon landing is impossible in his eyes. Right.
And he thinks, like, I mean, yeah, I can see your point, but like, I guess he doesn't know me, and like, I'm very deadpan and dry. And my questions to him was, if I really believe this, why would, number one, I pick somebody that I argue with every time they're on here about the shape of the Earth? I mean, he wouldn't be the first choice I would go to convey my suspicion of us not landing on the moon. And number two, if you watch this show, if he watched this show and he knows my stances on these things, I say it all the time. Like, I figured he would get the connection, but he just didn't. And maybe
he got you, bitch. He got you.
Yeah. But yeah, Jeranism is he's a doll. I'll put it that way. He's a doll.
You know what? As frustrating as it is to debate with him about the shape of the Earth and space and stuff, I actually like him a lot. He's a fun guy. I like him. Just he's He's just
Crazy.
either I can't decide. I'm honestly can't decide if he genuinely believes what he says and he's just like can't like, you know, the part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, that basically it runs like it's our simulator. It's what when you imagine doing something like jumping over a puddle, like you work out the math in your head before you do it. And I mean, with a lot of scientific theory and stuff, the way that it's communicated to us is communicated in a way that that we can picture it in our head that way. And either, you know, he really believes it and just can't work out in his head how that works, or he's lying and is playing some like long game. And I genuinely can't tell. I can't tell.
Oh, he's definitely. If you ask me, I think he's definitely lying. I think he knows. I mean, like there's
certain things that have been pointed out to him that he has to know are not true, and he still says them. Like a genuinely, you know, like logical person, especially with the amount of science that he discusses, should know he's saying things that are just functionally not true, that don't describe our universe the way we see it, and he still says them. So yeah, on some level he's definitely being dishonest, but on how dishonest, that's the real question. That's
the question. But the last debate that we had here with him, and what I find fascinating, and it shows you everything you need to know about in terms of what he believes and you know, just how vested he is into it. He had a debate with Red's Rhetoric on here, and it was supposed to be on the flat Earth model. He was supposed to bring. He said he had a model that worked, and he was supposed to present it in front of Reds. Well, he actually came here and was just trying to attack the actual model of the shape of the Earth, and admitted, like we have the clip of him saying, there is no working model of the flat Earth. So how do
there
you
is
believe?
None.
Right.
There is none.
So how do you?
I mention this all the time because it's the one argument. You only need one argument. Time lapse the nighttime sky in the north, and then time lapse the nighttime sky in the south, and you see opposite rotating skies with different pivot points. And there's not a single flat Earth model that can explain that. It is unexplainable. He made a video where he tried to explain it, where he took a convex like magnifying glass, and he kind of like put it on a piece of paper and was like sliding it around, showing how that it distorts the image, but it still didn't explain that very specific thing you see in the sky.
Absolutely dead on. And so I question how someone can listen and follow that, you know, follow him, because he's got a huge following, but how can you latch on to what he says when he will be the first to tell you that there is no working model? Like, you can't get out there and say the Earth is flat and that the globe Earth is wrong when we have a model that works, and he has no model whatsoever.
Actually, one of the best flat Earth debunk videos I've ever seen on YouTube is done by a flat earther. He fully admits that round disk model just doesn't work. And then he says, but the Earth is still flat because God says so it's magic. Which is, you know, not the best closing argument, but he certainly did a really good job of debunking all of the talking points that flat earthers always use. It's
I'll say this too. We had a Wake Souls on here the next week after them, and because they got in touch with us saying that they did have a working model. Their model could fit. And do you want to guess what their model was? I was blown away. Close. We are in a simulation, so therefore.
Well, okay. Well, if you're going to go down that route, I mean, then basically, you not only is space fake and the moon landing fake, everything's fake. So at that point, why can't any of that be real? If we live in a simulation, why can't the moon landing be real? If we live in a simulation, why aren't satellites real?
Right.
Satellites are
what does it matter?
Real.
It's crazy. Flat earthers. And by the way, speaking of that, we have a. Go ahead, Casey.
Which is the one that lives in a van? D Marble. D Marble is supposed to be coming to Alabama to do a flat Earth test with a laser across a lake here with Godless Engineer.
I'm so sick of the water tests. They don't work because
they don't.
It's well known. No, because it's well known that water light refracts way more over water than it does over dry land. There's this one place, like a salt flat. What you need to do is go to a salt flat. You need to go somewhere where the ground is. Yeah, you need to go somewhere where the ground is absolutely flat, because if the conditions are right, if the air is warm and the water is cool, that is the perfect condition to make the light refract down. And the more it refracts, the further away you can see it from. But the problem is going with a salt flat is if you do it with the opposite conditions, with a warm ground, the light is actually going to refract the other way, which is like when you're driving down a hot highway and you see like bubbling pavement, what you're actually seeing is the sky in the ground, because the light is refracting upwards.
Right. That happened with you remember Dave that we had on here, the urine therapy guy, Casey?
What do you mean? Of course I remember Dave. He taught me how to age urine.
Oh no, urine therapy. Now I need to watch that episode.
Listen, you have to watch it. He's a flat earther, a sovereign citizen, and a urine therapy person, all wrapped in one. He's the greatest. He's the trifecta of. We've had him on here twice. Hilarious guy, but he did that test, and that's what he said, that it bounced up and shot straight up into the.
It did the first time he did it. Remember, and then he said he couldn't repeat it. The problem
with laser tests, regardless of what you do, binocular tests, laser tests, whatever, is you can't just go out on a random day. You have to camp out on a specific spot and wait for absolutely the right conditions. And the problem with that is that there's a million excuses that you can use, that flat earthers can use, that you can't happen to see it on that particular day. They can say that, there's too much atmospheric occlusion or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. Like whatever you tell them, just like with Jeranism, they've got an excuse to explain why this one particular thing that debunks the theory isn't the way that it should be.
Yep. And some of them, let me tell this one last story, and I promise we'll close to everybody.
Okay.
There was a girl that I had tweeted out yesterday, and it obviously was very popular because it got like I don't know how many retweets. I've never had a tweet get this many things over something this ridiculous, but it was the Cat Earth tweet. Did you see that, Casey?
Yes, I did. That was funny.
So I said
yes.
So I said it's not a flat Earth, it's Cat Earth. All the countries make the outline of a cat, and I kind of highlighted it. Well, yesterday I got a tweet, this girl tweeted at me, and she said she was taking me seriously. She thought seriously I was putting out there that the countries make the shape of a cat, this Cat Earth thing. And so she started trying to debate with me about the Earth being a closed system, how it couldn't be a cat. And I sent her a GIF of a cat shoving things off the flat Earth. And do you want to know what she said back to me? That's not an accurate depiction because there isn't really an edge that you can fall off of.
Oh, for God's sake!
I've heard that too. That's an example of a different model. Like not every flat earther believes in the exact same model. They all function the same. They all essentially have an ice wall, which they believe is Antarctica that's been drawn inversely. But yeah, that is one of the beliefs, is that Earth goes on forever. And the only reason why there's not ice here is because the sun just melts this one tiny little area right in the middle. And that's where we live.
The infinite plane thing.
Really
I was so far away from the fact that she was talking about it's not a realistic picture because there's edges on it. She didn't say anything about the fucking huge cat that was shoving buildings off the side of it.
That was totally reasonable, Kyle. Totally.
But yeah, all right. Join us tomorrow. We'll be here at 8 p.m. Eastern. Also, we're having a special debate on Sunday. We're usually off on the weekends, but Slice Barkane was challenged by bipolar flat Earth and his girlfriend Willow, I believe. They're actually traveling to Jeranism now, and they're supposed to do something, I believe, this weekend, some experiment.
Oh, awesome!
But,
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be with Jeranism when he's here on Sunday, but he will be here. It's a 2-on-1 debate, which I think is how every flat Earth debate should be, because they need it. And yeah, well, thanks again to Greg and for stopping by. And Casey, I'm going to let you actually, Greg and you both can do it. Give us your favorite quote or some a nugget of advice that people should live their life by. Yeah, we need to sound a little bit more than
Let Greg go first.
I guess the thing that worked for me, the day I finally decided to be an adult, the thing that worked for me is advice from people is great and everything, but chances are people are going to give you advice that's safe because they care about you. And it's good that people care about you, but you've got to live your life the way that your gut tells you need to live it. You need to live your life exactly the way that you feel will fulfill your desires, within reason. So just don't get too caught up on what other people think about you, and don't get too caught up on fulfilling other people's expectations of you.
That was really good. That was good. So
now it's your turn. You got to one-up me now.
Yeah. Thanks. No, I'm not. Basically, it's really simple for me how I live my life. I try to be decent, and I try to love people, and I try to help people. And so I think those things are important to me. And, just be decent. Don't be an asshole. There you go. Quick. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah. That was going to be my first choice, is don't be an asshole. That was another good one.
Mine would be kind of just like Greg said, leap and the net will appear. Just jump.
Well, I mean, don't be caught up on whether or not the net will appear. Don't assume the net will appear. That's bad advice. But don't make your decision based on whether or not there will be a net.
Well said. All right. Good night, everyone.
Do you want GE to strum us out?
Oh yeah.
He's got his nuke. He's ready, honey. You're needed.
All about that.
All right, y'all ready?
GE.
Come on.
That man is an absolute unit. Come on.
Greg might be a tranny, we don't know. He looks pretty good as a girl. Illuminati for show. I hope you'll come back on sometime there, Armoured Greg, whatever the fuck your name is.
You've had like 30 minutes.
Awesome.
Oh, you're not done yet?
I feel like you guys are telling me to stop, so I will take that cue.
That was a subtle hint to just wrap that up.
Thank you for your 67th appearance on this show, GE. I've been keeping tally. This is your 67th appearance, so congrats.
67th, honey.
7.
Well,
all right, guys.
Going for a record besides you two.
You already hold the record.
Yeah, you hold the record.
At 8 p.m. Maybe, if you decide to come back, and we understand if you don't. But hopefully tomorrow at 8. Good night.
Non-sequitur. Your facts are uncoordinated.